Okay, all right. My name is Violet Crasco, and I'm from Hays. I'm a Donnie, but I married Earl Crasco. And what year was that? But I've been married to him for 50 years. We've been married, and I have 3 children, or 4 children. I got my son that's up here, above your head right here. His name is DJ, and he died when he was 20. Then a Sherry, the lady that works there, that's my daughter. And then I have Lynette, and she's right back you. She's a school teacher in Billings. She's going to teach this year, this summer in Missoula, Indian studies and that kind of thing. I was born in 1949 at the Fort Belknap Hospital in Harlem, and at Fort Belknap Agency. So I've been alive for a long time. Grovant, and I'm a little shell. I do have a little bit of Assiniboine in me as well, you know, because my grandmother was Assiniboine from Lodgepole. Her name was Matilda Cuts the Rope, and then my grandpa Frank Cuts the Rope was from there, from Hays. He was a Gromont. And then my dad, he was from North Dakota. His family was from North Dakota. Where was it? Dunseith, North Dakota, and that's where he was born. And he was born and raised in Hays, but his mother died when he was 3, and his father had to go to work up near Bear Paws, way out there. They stayed in a sheep wagon, and it was so cold. My dad, Bruce Doney, my grandpa, John R. Doney, brought him in and put him at the mission school, and so he stayed there since he was just a little boy, clear to when he graduated from high school. And then he became a coach for the St. Paul Mission Braves. And the St. Paul Mission Braves were the first Indians from Hays Lodgepole that made they won the championship, Montana basketball championship, long time ago. I have an Indian name, and I hate to say it, but it was my mom's Indian name, and they gave me the other day, you know, at the ceremony in back of and so it's Pretty Woman, but I'm getting old now. And I don't know how to say it in Grobuk, but that's what it is. My nephew Catcher Kutsurup gave it to me, so we had a little ceremony back there. So my mom is Ida Kutsurup Doney, and my dad is Bruce M. Doney. John R. Doney, and my grandmother was from Lewistown, and she was La Fountain. She was a La Fountain from there, and that's who he was. He was not a Grovant person. He was a little shell, and his family are lawyers from over there. So that's where my folks were. My dad's family was. Oh gosh, I love being a Grovant. I love being an Indian, you know, because I just One thing is I look at you kids and I see all the wonderful things that you could be, and because I know that I was able to be the teacher that I am today and the writer, because I went away to school in Blanchard, South Dakota, and stayed there from the year I was 12 years old until I graduated from high school. Then I went to Lawrence, Kansas, and it was Haskell Institute, and that's where I stayed. And then I come back and I worked for Fort Belknap for the summers. And then I met my husband Daryl, and we decided to get married because we didn't want to be apart anymore. We just decided, well, if I have to go away to school in Kansas and you go to Chicago, Illinois for heavy equipment, we didn't want to separate, so he just asked me to marry him, and of course I said yes. And that's our firstborn up there. His name was DJ. And then Sherry was our next one, And then Lynette is our third, and then we brought up 2 girls and 2 great-grandsons. We brought up Jessica Walker, and we brought up Miranda Crasco. She was named after us, and we raised them till they graduated from school. And Miranda is doing very well with her career too. She sells products all over the United States, and she dresses up and she sells them to different companies. She's doing very well. And then Jessie, she's looking for a job right now. She takes care of me here at home. But today she went to Great Falls because she wanted to just go get DJ, my grandson, and Hays Mt. She's getting him his graduation clothes. He's going to graduate. And we're going to have a dinner for him too. I don't know where it's going to be, but you asked me. You're invited to come over and meet my family. I'll let you, make sure that they know you, so they won't ever forget you, kid. I just like to be around you kids. That's why I sit there. And I like to tell you the good things about you. And it's never bad, never bad. And then DJ recognizes Landon, and in fact, your mom was my student. She was she was the nicest little tiny thing, little tiny woman. She had beautiful kids. All you kids there are so wonderful. You don't know how wonderful you are. I look forward. I'm retiring in June, but I'm going to come back, and every 2 days I'll come back. I'm just going to give my time. I just want to see you guys and let you know that somebody cares about you a lot, and that I'll always be there. No matter where I am, I'll always be there for you guys. So just let me know when you want me to pray for you. Say, Grandma, pray for us, and I'll say it. I'll say the prayer, not if you, unless you want me to pray there, but usually I come home and say my prayers at night before I go to bed. So that's what I do. I pray for people, and I love our kids. Your kids are so special, so special. I was really young. I was 12, and it was really scary there because I didn't know anybody there, and except for one girl. Her name was Mary Gardapi. She's from Hays, Jimmy Gardepy and Cecilia Gardepy was her children, and so 3 of her children went to Landrew. But it was that's where I learned to really get along with people, because I knew that I would have to do that when I go out and get a job, and had to make sure that I was good to people, because then they're good back to you. Sometimes you'll meet somebody that isn't. The best thing to do is not to fight them, but just to walk away and don't go back until they, apologize to you. But don't be a pushover either. Don't hesitate to go and turn them in if they get too bold. And because I did that. I went to school with Indian nations from Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming, South Dakota, Wyoming. Where else did I go to school? All the states in the Union went to Haskell and Noplandrew, and they so it started out where these kids didn't have homes. They took them away when they were real young, and so then they put them in the Indian schools there. But some of them died, and they didn't know who their parents were, so they have burials of all our Indian kids in the back of the schools, the back of the schools there. But they're moving them. They're taking them home. They found out their last names and their state, and so they're taking them back, and they're going to bury them at home. They're going to have a big ceremony. So you'll have to listen for Montanas, and if you can get it going and say, Mrs. Crasco, help us raise some money. We want to go watch those burials, to watch our relatives be buried. They're from Browning and all over, Crow, Billings, Poplar and Moe Point, and Hayes Lodgepole, of course, and Harlem, Dodson, all over they're from. And so they're gonna have a proper Indian burial soon. I don't know when it is. So let me know, and we'll just raise money to take kids to want to go, and they have places for you to stay in the dorms. They have great big dorms that have only men stay in one dorm and the women stay in the other. But 4 women stay in one room. It's 4 things. Just think they just took them without their parents' permission. They would just. Daryl's mother and dad. When you go out, you'll see a old burnt-up house there on the left. A log house, and Grandma Becky went to the mission. Her and her sister, they came over to Lodgepole in a wagon and picked them up. And she said they didn't even want to go. They were really crying. We don't want to go. Well, we're going to bring you right home, they said. We're just going to, you're just going to school for the week and we'll bring you. They never did bring them home. And she said they were, she said it would be really cold at night. They had no wood or fire or heat, and that was it was a great big old, stone building. And they didn't have a sheet on their bed, nor did they have a pillow. All they had was just one little funny blanket. And she said at night they would just see their breath, the steam come out of their breath. It was sad, And Grandma said, I was so glad her name was Grandma Rebecca Crasco. And John never did go there, but just Grandma Crasco and her sister went. But a lot of people from Hays went. You'll have to do some research when you go to college, or even if you just say, talk to Mr. Condon, ask him if you could come up and do some research there, or do it at the library and at the college, because you'll see a lot of your relatives there. You know, so it was very interesting for me to leave. I didn't want to leave Flanger when I came back, because I was afraid to live here, you know, because there was so much drinking and that kind of thing, you know, and I didn't want to fall into that pit, because I wanted to go on to college, you know. And I finally did. I graduated from the College of Great Falls in Great Falls, Montana. But thank God we got to come home and go to school. And it was a satellite school of Great Falls. And then we all went to graduate from there when we finished our senior year. And then we got offered jobs at the Hays School. That's how I started, and that was in what year was that? 1974. And then I taught all while I was here in Hays and Lodgeville. I taught all while I was here, all those years. But I also taught at the college. I taught freshmen English, reading, math, and writing. And Margaret Perez hired me to do that. So I had jobs in the summer. So it was good. Life was good. Well, we used to we ate a lot of pheasant and prairie chickens. Prairie chickens were really skinny, you know, and you had to pull all the feathers, you know, and we'd have to put them in hot water so we could pull the feathers out of them, and then we'd soak them, and then we'd cut them up. My brother Buzzy and I, my brother Buzz, Tony and I. And then we'd fight over who was gonna cut open the you know, the body parts in the middle, you know, inside. And he usually went out because he'd tell me, "I'm gonna tell Mom on you. You can get a licking." So that sure made me quit. And I used to be really a tough girl. I didn't have any boyfriends in those days when I was little, because they cuss too much. The kids, the guys there cuss too much, and when they cuss at me, well, I used my fist on them, so they didn't bother me too much. Yeah, so I loved going to school at the mission. And I love going to Hays, and I love to teach here. I just am really proud of our kids, you kids that are there. You're good kids, and I feel a little better. I feel I was really sick to my stomach when you came. I needed to vomit, you know, but I ate some soup. When when I was in sixth grade, fifth and sixth grade, and even seventh grade, I don't know if you guys ever played that game. It's called Red Rover, send so and so on over. And yeah, the boys would be on that side, the girls would be on this side, and then you got to pick who you were gonna hit into. And then, you know, if you hit into them and knocked them down, then your side won on that, you know. And then some of the games that we did play is basketball. I never played basketball, but I was It was called, I twirl batons. They're these iron, and they had rubber at the end. So I was a baton twirler, and I marched in a band in high school and in college. And we did body throws, and around our, and we kept marching. We didn't stop. We did body throws, arms, body, waist and legs, threw them up in the air, and then we'd have to hold our hands this way to pick them back up, and then we'd just twirl them around again. They never stopped. I still know how to do that. And I never did play basketball though, or football or anything, but we had football. And boy, a lot of our Indian kids were good basketball players. And they were good track runners. I don't know if you know, Mike talks different, but if you have time, he's still alive. And he's from Fort Belknap. And he was South Dakota state champ and track. Boy, he could run. Him and my husband both, they could really run. And then they had wrestling, They had all the different games and things we have nowadays. But when you're in South Dakota, you gotta really be careful. You can't. If you be crazy, cussing or anything, they kick you right off the team. His name was Mr. Zapier, and he'd say, my husband Crasco, he said, I want to talk to you. Oh my God, everybody was standing with their breath held because and we could hear him. He was slapping him around because he was cussing. But in those days, they were allowed to do that, and we were kind of glad because there was 500 of us there. And I never got whipped or anything, but I made sure I didn't. And because I would have got home and I would have got whipped again, when I came home in the summer. Yeah, we had those, and track and all the things you guys do now, wrestling, boxing. They had boxers then too. They were real good. Those Landry Indian School was the top team in every sport in South Dakota. Those Indian boys. We used to call them, as white people called them, Indian boys. And they had bands. They had rock and roll bands. Holy, they could play, and boy, could they ever dance. They were good dancers. My grandfolks, my grandmother and my mother, Ida, cuts the rope. Okay, and my dad, Bruce Stoney, he taught Métis. That was his language, their family. He taught Little Shell, they called it, but it was Métis. And what else did they? But most of all the old people, like Old Boy, and Luke White Rock and Lillian White Rock, they used to live by that trailer house that was the church, across there's a post office, and you go this way, go towards the north. They lived in a little house there, little tiny house, and they spoke Indian, and then my dad didn't know how to speak Indian, but he used Indian sign language. They talked to each other in sign. And I don't know how my dad ever learned that, but he talked to Old Boy and another old, 2 or 3 other old men, and they'd go to the store and they'd wait for each other there, and they'd use sign language to talk to each other. My dad got along real good with people here. So they taught him a lot. I did. I lived in, well, in my adult, even in my young life, I lived in South Dakota, Andrew, South Dakota, and Lawrence, Kansas, and different places like that. And then after my adult life, my husband and I got married, and we moved to Glasgow, and that's where he was a police officer there. And I worked in a kind of company that made shells made for the Vietnam War, and we had to make these great big old. We put them together, and we'd have to strip them down if we made a mistake, because we had to have our shells. They were ready to go, you know. And then I worked at a bar, and I came home in the summertime. I worked for the tribe as a secretary and that kind of thing, you know. And that's how I got to become known in our tribe. So they knew me already, you know, before I put in for a job. They used to ask for you if you did a good job, you know. Yes, I danced. I was an Indian dancer. And that old hall, you know where that Anthony Main lives, in that trailer down across from the fire station. Well, there's a monument there with my uncle's name on there. My uncle's and aunt's names, Cecilia Cutthrope, and but there was a great big old hall there, and we had every Christmas, every holiday and celebration, we danced, and so I danced there. My folks didn't let me go too much by myself. You know, in those days, they were really strict, my folks were anyway. But I used to be able to dance, and this kid, older boy's grandson, he raised him, and he used to bug me all the time. I'd go ahead and dance, and I'd dance really fast trying to get away from him. He'd chase me, and he'd pull my braids, and I'd turn around and bust him in the belly. He'd be really crying, but he wouldn't leave me alone. I was just young too. I did. I went to church. I grew up in a Catholic church, you know, and went to a Catholic school, the Mission. And I went to church every Sunday. And then I got married. We got married. That's us. Where are we? On the other side's a picture of him and we got married, you know, at the church, St. Paul's. I got married there. But that's the only marriage we have, was just him and I. So it was wonderful, beautiful ceremony. Oh, I still enjoy going to Mass. And sometime because I'm kind of getting forgetful, I always think it starts at 11:30, because it always did start all of my life at 11:30. And then by the time I get there, it's 12 o'clock, because it started at 11. So I always but when I do make it, I just love it. It's so peaceful for me. So it gives me so much peace to go there, you know. It helps me through the day and the week. We need a rest home. We need a home. We were looking at the mission school as a home for us, you know, because I don't want to be a burden on my children, you know, or my grandchildren. I would like to be able to go there and stay there 4 or 5 days a week, and someone help me with my meds, and there's going to be a time that's going to happen, you know, and then I'll go home. my granddaughters will take me home, or I might even be as a big spry old lady and still be able to cook for myself, and I'd go stay by myself. My grandson DJ would stay with me. But yeah, we're looking at we're looking at that old mission school, because they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They got 6 rooms that hold probably 2 people to each room. School rooms, where they have their beds and they have a chair to, one of these little tiny chairs where they get company to come, and their relatives could come, and if they want to rest, they could lay down, and they have a cook there. They got cooking stoves. So I think there could be at least 2 times 6 is 12 rooms. And if they made took the library, you could probably have about 4 more rooms there. But that way our people are able to sit outside, wait for their grandchildren, watch the kids bike, watch the, and when they have Indian dads, they could pick them up in a bus or a van, because they want to be independent. I don't want to be, I don't want to not be independent. I want to be able to get myself ready for bed, take my shower, and in one of those classrooms, you'd each have a shower. The grandmas would be with the grandmas, and the grandpas would be the grandpas, unless they were married, Then grandma and grandpa could stay there, and you kids could come and see grandma and grandpa or auntie, uncle, and they could watch baseball games and basketball games, help them on a van or a bus, I'd write for them to have that, but they're still trying to decide what to do. The mission says they're going to have a school, but I don't think that'll ever go back anymore. I think they need to keep their elders, so their elders, when you get older, if no one pays attention to you, you just, like anything else, you just wither up and die, Where you kids could go visit your aunts and uncles, and and bring them Diet Coke or something, tea, and just spend some time, and then they don't get lonesome. They really get lonesome when they're off. Like Pat Bear, she was all at the ball games. Really get lonesome for home, because she didn't have anybody to visit her very much. And there's a lady up there. She's oh God, what is his name? He used to be up the canyon. Iron Man. His granddaughter. Well, there was nobody to take care of her anymore. So she's been in the rest home in Haber for a really long time. And then she calls Carlene. Carlene is really, if you ever get to interview her. She's an elder as well. But boy, is she interesting to talk to. She's the one that sings all the songs at the wakes and stuff. And my friend calls Corleen and I once a week. I need cigarettes. She said. So she said, I need at least $5. So she has no family anymore. So there's just a few of us get together, and we'll send her $5, and another person will send her another $5, and they get her cigarettes, because she could sit outside and smoke. But it's a lonely place, It would seem like a real lonely place, A long time ago, we were real, our parents really watched us, and took care of us, and took not that anybody doesn't do anything here, but the life here had to do with the alcohol and you know, that kind of stuff. At that long time ago, if you got caught smoking or drinking, my mom would give the belt to me. And I was punished from doing anything. I couldn't even leave the yard, you know, because, and as I wondered how come she'd hit me with the belt, you know. But that was the thing that kept us, you know, on the straight and narrow, because that belt hurt. Or a willow. They cut a big old red willow, big long one, little tiny skinny. Sometime my brother and I, Buzz, had to go cut our own willow, so we'd cut a really tiny one, and oh my God, they stung. So we'd get a bigger willow because it didn't sting as much. But my dad gave us a whipping if we did, you know. And we couldn't go anywhere. We started working, my brother and I, at the school, you know, the John Capture Center. My dad worked as a bus driver, and Clemens Gardapi worked as a cook. And he chopped all of the wood to keep the whole school going. And, but, you know, it was good to see my dad work, you know, and to work for us, you know. But boy, did we sure caught it if we misbehaved, you know. Yes, that was the biggest part of my life. And in music too. I used to dance, you know, clear into when I was in high school, you know, and I graduated in what year did I graduate? 74. I think I graduated in 1967. I used to love to dance. I had a really beautiful costume that Mabel Bradley made me. She made it for me. I had a little one and then a great big one. But they disappeared, you know, when my mom died. Somebody must have took them, you know, for their keepsake. Yeah, I love to dance. I love dancing. Everybody did. In those days, that was one of the things, just like basketball. They had contests and everything. Really, Fred Gone was a good dancer. He could really dance. He was an old man even at that time, you know. Young Fred was really good. Ray Gone was really good. Frank Cuts the Rope was good, and Clarence Cuts the Rope. That's my relatives. And you know, you could think of ask your mom and dad who used to dance. I know Bayard Kirkcaldy was a good dancer, and you know, different ones. We called it the Charleston, where a woman dances fast, you know, to the drums, and then slows up when they go. It was really a beautiful dance. You turned around, you use your feather, just like they use their feather now. That's where they got it from. And the men dance the same way, but they're only fancier now. And they're amazing to watch now too. Yeah, we dance the same type of dances, except they let a lot of different moves you know, go into their dance now. Then we danced with Guy, you know. They danced together like they do nowadays. I forgot the name of it, but owl dance, yeah. Owl dance was always, we did the owl dance. Yes, she is. That's my mother's sister. Is she? Oh, there's your other grandma right behind you. And you'll see me in there She's hugging Lynette in that, that's second to the last section going down. That's my mom, her name. She's real white-headed like Auntie Esther. So we're related, So that means you better get out there and dance. Oh, God, I didn't know that. I knew we had kids, that were related, and I was related. Yeah, Basil was my first cousin. He went to the service. He was a strong soldier. Both him and Irvin Downey went, and Buzz Cochran, Peanut Cochran, Clarence Cuts-the-Rope. All your uncles, great uncles, were soldiers. Uncle Clarence he jumped from an airplane. He was an airline jumper, jumped. They weren't afraid of nothing. Those Indians, the Indian people that were in the service, they did everything they could. If they told them to do something, they did it. Catcher Cuts Rope lives way out there, way out. You're going to Highway 66 and going to Billings that way. Right on top of there, they're up in the mountain there area. That's where he lived, but he fought in the war there, with the Iraq War, and he really he saved his platoon, his company. They were trapped downstairs in a building, and these other guys, I forget what they were called, but they were the opposite. They didn't like the United States. They tried to kill them. So our men and women were trapped down there in that basement, and Harry snuck down there and with what do you call those guns that shoot bullet really fast? The one that really influenced me was my dad and my mother, because my mother was really Indian. She was really a grown-up, dark-skinned. Well, you see her up there. And my dad he was really extremely nice. He always told me, his sister, no matter what, he said, if somebody is mean to you or tries to fight you, anything, he said, just walk away. Just leave. It doesn't mean anything for you to stay and fight, because, he said, for one thing, you can get your butt kicked. You might get your butt kicked. And the other thing is, they said, people will just look at you as a fighter, and as you get older, they'll just ignore you. So that's my dad was, and he said, always forgive people, always treat them good. He said, and help your people as much as you could. So that's what I did most of my life. I had to. I wanted to, because I wanted to have what I have when they get older. Or I just wanted them to not have any food or anything. So I did a lot of work for my Aunt Esther, grandma. She used to invite me to come and bathe Carlene and Evelyn, because she had a lot of little ones, grandkids. So every Saturday before church on Sunday, I'd go over to her house, and she'd heat up a great big round tub, and then I'd bathe Carlene and Evelyn. Evelyn is your auntie, and then Carlene, I love Carlene's hair. She had the curliest little head, and Evelyn, she had straight hair like mine. But I had fun And I'd dress them up in their dresses, and I'd walk them uptown. And I always asked my dad for pennies because we had penny candy in those days. So I'd go up and get them each a little sucker, and then we'd go all the way around and take them home. Then I helped clean her house. And she didn't have money, or her and Uncle Happy. They had a lot of kids, a lot of family that stayed with them. So we saved our money, and we used to buy them a bag of chips. The blue bag of chips were only like a penny in those days. And then Auntie Esther made them Kool-Aid. So on Sunday they had Kool-Aid and those little chips, or popcorn, one of the two. Because I just like to be with kids, just always did. Yeah, but I had a good life. I had a really good life, but a lonely life when I was gone, away from my parents, But I had to follow what they taught me, and that's what you do. If I can give you an advice, think of the good things your parents told you to do, and pick it and do it. Even if it's hard, even if it takes you a long time to do it, if you get a job, you just do your best. And just keep doing it until you get it done. People will look at you as, a person that could really work. You'll always have a job. Always have a job. Don't be sassy or talk back. You guys aren't like that. I know that for sure. But if you always remember that, because everyone will want you to work for them. And then someday you'll be able to go to college, and you'll get a job there, because you could say, well, ask Violet Crasco. She was a teacher at Hays Logical. I'll give you her address, and she'll tell you all about me. Good things. And I will. I'll give you guys good recommendations. All you kids. Yeah. When you come back over here, you come, and especially in the summer, because we always eat outside, and if it's raining, my husband used to have a shelter here, and we just sit under it and just enjoy our meal, our little sandwiches and chips and cookies, But that keeps you busy. It keeps your mind off of saying, well, I really should do this. I'm just bored. But find something that you can do that's going to make you happy. So you don't feel that you need something else that's not good for you.